Hello everyone, my name is Julia. I'm a K-12 art educator and I'm also a student at WKU and the LITE535 course. This is for my Create Framework blog number 1. My real world topic is about endangered species, and this is going to be a project posed to 6th to 8th grade students or middle school age students. I'm also using the technology tool of iMovie to engage students through animation and stop motion animation, and I'll be going through how you would do that in this video. If this were rated on the create levels of real world learning, this project would probably be a level 3 because students are investigating the topic of endangered species or, their environments or habitats that are just being destructed by human impact. And they're not necessarily doing anything to change that situation within their community. If I were to invite someone from PETA perhaps, or some other animal rights organization to come and talk to my students and work together with them, it would be probably a level 5. But they're only creating videos and posting them to YouTube. So it might affect someone, but most likely not. They're just kind of pretending they're in that role. This is a slideshow that I kind of created as a mock-up to introduce the project, and I'll go through it really briefly before I get to the iMovie discussion. So I would start my presentation with my students by having a really low stakes discussion with them about art and the environment. I would kind of ask them some questions to understand their prior knowledge and their understanding of art as an industry, how we are consumers of materials, and then also how art can be used in a positive way to educate people on the dangers of climate change and how it can affect animals in particular. Okay, then I would share some of my own prior knowledge, and I won't get too into this, and this would be extended if I would really present this to a group of students. I would also connect the idea of found object art and connect it to the standards that way. So if you're watching this and don't already know, found object art is when artists find natural or man-made objects and they keep them because of some intrinsic interest they may have with that piece. They may take that object and include it in a larger body of work or present it and display it as its own standalone work of art. I would give some artist examples. The two to the right are mostly creating installation artworks as well. So they're either mimicking waste spills or oil spills, the one to the left, or they are imitating wildlife with recyclable materials, like the one Michelle Stitzling, her work, you can see the garden hoses to the top, kind of like sea anemone or sea urchins or something like that. Andy Goldsworthy isn't necessarily a found object artist, but he is an environmental and nature artist that's kind of essential to the conversation we're having too. Okay, so then I would pose this assignment to my students. They are creating an educational video about an endangered species of their choice. I would group them in groups of 4 to 5 kids a group. They would research the animal that they want to learn more about. They would discover whether or not they are going extinct or at risk of extinction because of human impact or because of natural causes, and they would present that in a stop motion video. They're going to then create backgrounds. They're going to create animals or different things within their setting that they're talking about, maybe creating little human characters if there is some kind of human impact on that climate change. And then they're going to take a series of photos by moving those characters and put them into a stop motion video. This explains how you do everything in iMovie, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that here. Okay, let me make sure my screen sharing is still working. Okay. Okay, so here we are in iMovie. Students would take all of their photos and they would keep them on their desktop. They could import them from like a flash drive. They can do that either up here at the top where it says import media, or they're all on MacBooks and hopefully they would all have them in order on their desktop and they can just click and drag their photos to here. You can see in this larger image to the right of how students would be creating their backgrounds and sets with mixed media. So this example is using little paper towel strips. They're coloring colored pencils on recycled paper. They're using magazine strips and just creating their images that way. Then students are going to go to their iMovie preferences. That's up at the top left under preferences. They're going to make sure that their settings for their photo placement says fit and isn't automatically set to Ken Burns. They're also going to change their photo duration to 0.1 seconds. So that means that each photo is going to be on the screen for 1/10 of a second rather than 4 seconds, which is what iMovie automatically sets it to. They'll click enter. And then when they click and drag their photo to iMovie, everything is going to be within that setting. And so it'll play automatically like that really quickly through the photos. Students can also browse the audio and video files, add music to their promotional video. They can add their researched information with the title slides, and they can add transitions to transition in between scenes if they so please. Then they're going to export their movie to YouTube. So they're going to hit File, Share, and they'll hit YouTube and Facebook right here. This little pop-up is going to appear, and if they go through those steps, it'll have them put in their YouTube information if they have a YouTube account, and then they'll post it that way. I've already posted this video, and I can show you an example on YouTube, and we'll just watch a couple minutes of this clip. Okay. And this isn't a perfect example. It is an example of a stop motion that I worked on helping create, but it doesn't exactly meet the requirements of it being about an endangered species or including the research and text I would ask of students. All right. That's all I'm going to share for today, just for the sake of time. I will also talk more about I'll also talk more on the text to the side about how the ratings for this project. I think stop motion is really engaging for students. They're really interested, especially for students who are interested in video games or film and things like that. So I hope you read my